Today, your success is enormous. You have just stepped into the zone of focus, leadership, and peak performance. I am the motivational supercharger of the 21st century, Kevin T. Robertson, America's leading focus expert. Here to tell you about the nation's capital's newest learning institute. It's called The Even Place. I teach a weekly lesson on focus on leadership and peak performance. I'll see you right here this coming Sunday and every Sunday at The Even Place.
Good men do the things they like to do. Great men do the things they need to do. But champions do the things they hate to do, to grow, to achieve, and to overcome all obstacles in their path. To learn more, visit www.evenplace.com. Good morning. Welcome to the Even Place. Trust you're having a great day. As we oftentimes say, I'm somewhere every day having to make a decision between whether or not I'm going to have a great day or a wonderful day. And so today we're going to have a great and a wonderful day. We want to first of all start off by doing a review, what we're going to call Wisdom for Wealth in Review, and kind of go over some of the points that we had gone over in the past to make sure that we're on the same place. First thing I want to make sure that we understand is, what is wisdom? Now, wisdom is the principal thing. Wisdom is the main thing. Wisdom is the thing that is the most invaluable thing that you can have, because everything in life has a value, and you need to discern the value of this thing versus that thing. Also, when it says wisdom is the principal thing in all our getting, get an understanding, whenever you find the path or the way that is successful, you want to replicate and duplicate it. We oftentimes use the illustration of MapQuest. If I was to go on MapQuest right now, it doesn't ask me what type of vehicle I'm going to use, what time, day or night I'm going to do this travel. But once I put in the directions that I want to go, let's say, for example, from here to Philadelphia, there isn't an exact route that will lead me to Philadelphia, whether I go on Tuesday, whether I go on Wednesday, whether it's 4 in the car, 2 in the car. It doesn't ask me my political persuasion, my ethnicity, my society, my culture. It just want to know, don't want to go from point A to point B. And so whether I go on Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, as long as I follow the directions, the instructions, I'm going to get from point A to point B. Oftentimes I have this expression: your long-term success is determined by 3 things: the questions that you ask, the answers that you seek, and the instructions you're willing to obey. And the more you're willing to obey instructions, you're going to be successful. The next thing we talked about in our, what we're going to call review as it relates to wisdom for wealth, is what is profit? Profit is a very, very important thing. In every relationship that you're doing on an ongoing basis, do the math. Is it a relationship that's going to add or multiply? Or is it a relationship that is going to subtract and divide? And you want to have more relationships that will allow you to have pluses and also multiplication. Now, let me give you a definition for the word profit. Profit is to replenish. Profit is to have an advancement. And profit is something of a benefit. We want you to profit from things, benefit from things, and we want you to advance in life. And when you do those things, you're going to always become successful. Profit is a God concept. It's a God idea. It was first spoken of when it comes to the book of Isaiah, because Isaiah talks about the fact that, Lord, teach me to profit. Teach me to become successful. Also, we need to understand, Solomon said this very, very powerful statement. He said, money answers all things. And we want to understand that perhaps, let's say, for example, you want to take a vacation, you want to go on a trip, and perhaps you cannot go on a vacation, or you cannot go on a trip. And the reason being, perhaps, is that you don't have the resources or the supply to do so. So I want to encourage you to realize that profit is very, very important. There are 3 things that you are to discern on a daily basis. And I want to make sure that you understand these 3 things. One is, what is my divine responsibility? If you have problems with the word divine, what is my responsibility to the entire universe? So every day when you get up, what am I a part of this extraordinary thing called life? What is my story in history? And so it's very, very important to say every day, what is my place in society? One of the things I love about Tiger Woods is that Tiger Woods always wants to know his place in history. So number one is, what is my story in history? Number two, I have to ask myself, what is my personal responsibility or accountability? So divine responsibility and then personal accountability. I have to be accountable for my own actions. And everything I do, there is a cause and a effect. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatever man soweth, that shall he also reap. And number three is people's expectations. What do people expect from me? I have to get along with the universe. I have to get along with my core values. And I also have to get along with other individuals. So every day when I make a decision, how do I relate to the whole entire universe? How do I relate to myself, my constitution, my basis of life? And then also, how do I relate to other people? Since we're talking about wisdom for wealth, how do I make wealth? And again, I mentioned before, sometimes people have a problem with the word wealth. How do I get supply? How do my needs get met? How do I get blessings? Whatever word you feel comfortable, so that you know that each and every day you are supposed to have supply and not lack. You're supposed to gain and not have minus. 3 ways you make supply. Number one is, what goods do you have? What products are you presenting? For a few moments ago, we were very blessed and fortunate to hear some extraordinary new music from Bomani. That's a product that he provides. Also, for example, here at the Even Place, he provides a service, which is his consulting, his brain. Believe it or not, he is more than his good looks. And it's amazing to believe that he's that way, but we do utilize that. So number one is, you have to have goods. Number two, you have to have some form of service, okay? Number three, if you want to make money, is through giving. Some people call it tithing, which is 10% of your income, or philanthropy, but it's some form of giving. Every dollar you make, 10% goes back to the universe. Every time you do not plant a seed, you say to yourself, I do not want a future. Anybody who's a farmer understands the importance of planting. And every time you don't take 10%, you're saying, this is my last day. I'm going to die, so I don't need to have a future. So everything that I have, 10% of it or more, 10% is like the opening bar. But some part of my life I need to give to the future. So I'm going to say that part again. How do I make money? Through some form of goods. Number two, some type of service. And number three is through my giving. Then we also mentioned 3 characteristics of money in times past. Money is to be made now. If you don't have money today, it ain't going to do you no good tomorrow. Okay? You need to have resources today. There are 3 things that's supposed to happen now. Now, thanks be to God that always causes me the triumph. Now I am to win. Winning is not a tomorrow thing. I need to win today. And now prosperity. 3 things. Money is not going to do me no good in the past. Money is not going to do me no good in the future. I need to have the blessings of the Lord today in order for me to be successful. And too often people say, and I have nothing wrong with Little Annie, but it's a good song for a musical, but it's not appropriate for today. Tomorrow, the sun will come out tomorrow. Don't worry, I'm not going to take your place, Bomani, and sing. But too often, our dreams are always about tomorrow. I need to be able to have the baby with a pair of shoes today. And so I want to live a life that I know how to bring in resources into my life on a daily basis. So we gave 3 wealth strategies. Strategy number 1 is use what you have. There's always been that philosophical question, what came first, the egg or the hen? I believe the egg came first. Each and every one of us, every day, we need to ask the universe, give me a seed, give me something I can plant. And if I plant that thing, I know I'm going to get a return. And so it's very, very important. You say to yourself, well, I don't have but this, I only have but that. Take what you have. There's a great story in the Bible concerning Jesus Christ. They were trying to feed 5,000 individuals. And Jesus asked them, what do we have? And they said, we have nothing but the little lad's lunch. He took the little lad's lunch and he broke it. And then they'd be able to feed the thousands. We gave you an illustration concerning a man named Warren Thompson. You need to write this name down, Google it. Warren Thompson. Warren Thompson worked for Marriott Corporation, and he made them a lot of money. And then one day he said, you know what? I want to live like the Marriotts, and I want to have my own future. There was a $15 million business he wanted to buy. He wanted to buy a $15 million business. He did not have $15 million. He didn't have $14 million. He didn't have $10 million. He didn't have $5 million. He didn't have $1 million. He didn't have $500,000. He only had $100,000. He was able to take his $100,000 that him and his brother and sister and family scraped up together. He took it and bought a $15 million business. How did he do it? Because he took what he had to get what he wanted. You can be surprised at what you can do if you begin to celebrate where you are before you get to where you want to go. And we're going to feature him in a new book called Dr. Alvin's Encyclopedia of Genius. He's going to be one of the profiles. I'm profiling 70 individuals. Also, Warren Thompson is a man of prayer. He says, before I make any decision, I pray about it. Right now, from him taking that $100,000, this year he's scheduled to do $400 million in sales in the restaurant industry. Also, by year 2016, he told me he's going to do $1 billion in sales. He took $100,000, what he had. Also, just to let you know as a backdrop, he told his father before his father died that he was going to establish a business like the Marriotts. So you got the Marriotts, the Thompson family, which, by the way, is an African-American brother, two brothers and a sister. They are taking their principles. So he's not using his skin color. He's not using his race, his ethnicity to say, I can't do something. He learned wealth strategy number one, take what you have. Wealth strategy number two, which we mentioned prior time, for those of you just joining us, is how to profit. And we gave you an illustration concerning my extraordinary aunt, Aunt Ethel Stratford. Let me tell you about my Aunt Ethel Stratford. My Aunt Ethel Stratford, she had a taxi cab. Okay, and she was considered by society to be a single parent, a single mother. So she had a taxi cab, so that's income from her taxi cab. So when she got into her house, she would go to the right, there would be flowers in the living room. She used those flowers to make money. Then she went into the dining room, there were more flowers. That was not flowers to be seen. She made money from flowers. Then you see little kids running around. She would have a nursery. Okay, every space in her house she used to make money. Then all of a sudden you see these strange men walking out. It's not that she was living a sordid life. Each one of the rooms was for a roomer, and so she make money from that. Then she had a garden in the back of the house. She sold the vegetables from that. My Aunt Ethel knew that every space in her house, in her life, from the time that she got into a car. By the way, when she drove in her car, she went to her retail business. So she had a retail business, a taxi cab, a nursery, a garden, and her house was a bed and breakfast. She knew how to take care of herself. And in fact, what was so extraordinary, to have a few hundred nieces and nephews, every one of us at some point in time stayed over her house and was blessed as a result of her understanding. She knew the importance of profiting. So far in this lesson, Wisdom for Wealth, we learned take what you have. And number two, learn to benefit from every situation. Number three, which is what we're going to start on today, is we're going to talk about it's very, very important to have a wealth consciousness, a wealth mind, or a mind of abundance. Now, I believe what St. Paul says. St. Paul in Philippians, the 4th chapter, verse number 18 says this. St. Paul says this, I have all. Okay, he says, I have all. I abound, and I am full. Okay, he says, I have it all. I abound, and I am full. Now, most people in this world, they say, you know, when I grow up, I want to become a millionaire. Another person says, you know, when I grow up, I want to become a billionaire. Another person grows up and says, I want to become a trillionaire. And I said, I was praying to God one night, and I was saying to him, Stefan, I want to be a millionaire. He says, that's not high enough. I said, I think that's pretty good, Lord. He says, not high enough. I said, I want to be a billionaire. He says, you're playing me. You're playing me. And I said, I thought that was pretty good. Oh, you want to be a trillionaire? He says, I said, I want to be a trillionaire guy. He says, you still don't get the concept. He says, well, then I said, well, I've missed the question 3 times. I missed it from being a millionaire, a billionaire, and a trillionaire. And you don't have to look it up, Bomani, because I already got the name. My face is already there. I am going to be an all-year-naire. Okay? An all-year-naire. Live a life to have it all. That's Philippians, the 4th chapter, verse 18. I want to encourage you, don't limit yourself to be a millionaire. Don't limit yourself to be a billionaire. Don't limit yourself to be a trillionaire. Live a life that has it all. And that's my goal. And again, you can look it up there, Bomani. Type it in, Google it right now, my brother. And my picture is right there. I want to encourage you to live a life that is having it all, abound, and be full. Don't look at life as being half empty. Look at yourself as being a full life. You know, we're starting this new particular institute here, and from the outward appearance, there's just a limited number of people. I don't just see the number of people here. I see this place being full. I see me talking to 100,000 people. I see this going out through the entire world. And every week we're getting more people who are seeing us on Twitter. More and more people are seeing us on YouTube. And eventually the place is going to be full. You can never see based upon what you see with your natural eyes. You got to look at beyond and see the intangible. And I want to encourage you to have it all. Now, why should we do that? There are three types of ways that most people try to get their wealth, or they say they are wealthy. Number one is people get wealth through acquisition. That's what Solomon did. If you look in the Old Testament, Solomon, he acquired everything he possibly can get. I mean, the guy had 1,000 women in his life. 700 were concubines, 300 wives. He had cattle. He had all these things. He believed that wealth was acquisition. I got a lot of my friends, and they believe that. They try to acquire everything they possibly can. That's fine if that's what you want to do. And some people do that. They want to acquire everything. For them, they feel that they're wealthy because of acquisition. Another way people show that they have wealth is through what I call welfare. And welfare is usually through government. You can get government subsidies, whether it's corporate welfare or it could be through government stamps. That's fine if that's what you want, but that is a form of getting your wealth. And people do that for a living. I have friends, they are depending upon the government for their livelihood, and they work the system. If that's what you want to do, that's what you feel called to do, then work it. I personally don't want to be dependent upon that because there's a thing called uncertain riches. Uncertain riches, you need to always remember this, is any money by the hand of someone else. If I'm depending upon someone else, if it's a job, okay, because we will encourage you here at the Even Place to own. You can work for a period of time, but the eventual goal is for you to own your own business. I'm looking for people who can control their whole life because I cannot control a job. I work at the pleasure of someone else. If I got money through an inheritance, inheritance can come, inheritance can go. If I get money through insurance, it can come, it can go. Okay, so that's very, very important to understand the difference between certain riches and uncertain riches. So Solomon got everything through acquisition. That's one way. Some people depend upon the government to get things. That's fine if that's what you want to do. I believe in the third way, which is the way Jesus Christ did it. He had access. People thought Jesus Christ walked around and didn't really have anything, but he had access to everything. For example, you remember there was a story where they came to him and said, Jesus. He said, what? Jesus, he said, what? We can't pay our tax. He says, no problem. Go down to the body of water. The first fish you open up, when you open that fish's mouth, there will be money in it to pay the taxes. I mentioned the story earlier concerning the young man with the food. He could not feed the 5,000. And all of a sudden, he could not feed the 5,000. And as a result of that, what he was able to do was he was able to take that lad's lunch, and he was able to feed the multitudes. Jesus Christ had access, and I think that's the way we want to be. You know, if I need to get in contact with a billionaire like Steve Forbes, I have his cell phone. If I need to talk to a best-selling author, Jackie Collins, I got her phone number. She sold over several 100 million copies of books. I want to learn to have access to people. And the way you do that is be friendly with everybody you come in contact with, because you never know who you're talking to. And a lot of times you may look at a person, you may think, well, they don't have anything. You'd be surprised what people have, because man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. Never judge a book by a cover. Begin to reveal, unravel that, and find out what's happening. There are many things that I could say as it relates to wealth, but I want to also, before we get into a little lesson, before we conclude, is what wealth is not. Wealth is not dressing to impress. Wealth is not dressing to impress. I know a lot of people, they see wealth as something that they have to begin to do, in which they try to show people that they have wealth. And that is not what it is all about. Wealth is more than possessions. Okay, because the Bible says godliness with contentment is great gain. So it talks about the fact that you need to have the quality of life. It's very, very important. Yes, have possessions, but it's much more than possessions. Have the quality of life. And why should we have wealth? Number 3 is wealth is used to show the love of God. You know, my good friend Stephen R. Covey said this. He said that wealth that you have for yourself is success. Wealth that you do for other people shows significance. And what we want to do for those of you who are watching on the videotape, I want to encourage you to check out the prodigal son story. In our next lesson, we're going to talk more about the prodigal son. This is Alvin Jones here at The Even Place. If you want to get in contact with us, you can write us here at alvin@dralvin.com, or you can visit the website, theevenplace.com. Bye.